My mother she would give us a hard time sometimes, and she would say to us, I don't know what's wrong with you young people. You think you just fell out of a coconut tree? You exist in the context of all in which you live and what came before you.
Welcome back to Left Anchor. I'm Ryan Cooper. Apologies for radio silence around here for a while. We've just had a series of unfortunate events. Alexi's been traveling, coming back from Greece. That, as you can imagine, eats up a ton of time. I meant to record on Monday, and then that night, my dog got skunked. And yeah, enough said about that. But we're back in the saddle. We've got David Dayan here, and we are talking about the most recent news. Kamala is in, Biden is out. What does it all mean? As well as a discussion of a new investigation of abusive pricing that was inspired in part by an American Prospect print issue that we recently ran. So let's just go ahead and get right to it. Here's our interview with David Dayan right now. So, David, welcome back to the program. Glad to have you. We've been away for a while. We had various comical mishaps. My dog got skunked. And yeah, highly recommended. Great time for everyone was involved.
The dog got skunked, but the country got de-skunked.
I'll take that trade 7 days a week.
Exactly.
Yeah, who cares about his family and his house?
A small sacrifice.
Yeah.
So
no sacrifice, really.
No skin off my nose.
Yeah, perhaps, because we've been away for a while for these and other reasons. And so I thought we could just recap, like kind of the last week and a half. So let's see.
Is that what it's been? Has it only been like 10 days or something?
Something like that. It has not been that. It's, what is it? Lenin says that years happen in weeks. But,
10 days it shook the world, I believe is what they called it.
Precisely. So, yeah, we had this, ongoing battle that, was happening in the media and behind closed doors to get rid of Biden. Then we had the Trump assassination attempt where apparently he was grazed by a bullet in the ear, though that's still not clear. And that's kind of a lingering weirdness about what actually injured him. There hasn't been any sort of official confirmation of what actually nicked him, if it was glass from the teleprompter, which hit, other bystanders, or if it was actually a bullet. 2 other people were hit, one of them fatally. Let's see. Then we had J.D. Vance, Ohio's weirdest guy, nominated for vice president. We had at the Republican National Convention, I believe, which happened.
Right, that happened.
Then Biden got COVID, and then all of a sudden he's out. He quit the presidential race all of a sudden, and it seemed as though there was a big preparation behind the scenes to basically coronate Kamala Harris as his designated successor, which, of course, she already is as vice president and as having been on the primary ballots, the package, assumed at least as the incoming, running mate on all these primary ballots. She almost, within 24 hours had, I think, a critical mass of support. The Democrats, her campaign raised like $100 million, I think, in 24 hours. Democrats up and down the ballot also raised a ton of money. And now I believe she has enough delegates confirmed to be the official nominee when the convention happens, in a couple of weeks. Yeah, here we are. I don't know. I suppose the place to start with maybe would just be kind of to recap this whole replace Biden thing, and how it sort of seems to be turning out. David, I think you and I were relatively more skeptical of this effort compared to some of the other more older members of the staff who were just all in as soon as Biden had his terrible debate performance on getting rid of him. My worry was that, doing this out in public to say that Biden is unfit, we need to get rid of him, was pretty risky if he didn't leave, because then you're sort of doing the Trump's campaign for him. However, now that has happened, and so the gamble paid off. Now it's Trump who's the oldest nominee in history. So how do you think that played out, David, in particular? What do you think of this, the fact that, you know, the big donors apparently had a large amount of influence in making this happen? You know, are you worried that this represents, you know, basically yet more consolidation of the donor class among the, you know, on who gets to be the nominee for president or anything else?
Well, I mean, money talks in politics, no matter how you slice it. So the large donors were always going to be a factor here. Although the fact that small donors gave $100 million in a day maybe suggests that large donors shouldn't have that level of power. I think that this was kind of a rare moment where the donor class and the public was aligned. I mean, we've seen polls after this dropout that something like 85% of Democrats agreed with that decision. I think that what we know is that in politics, the one thing you can't lose is trust. And on June 27th, Joe Biden lost the trust of the American people, and particularly the trust of the Democratic Party. And it's impossible to get it back. There was no good performance that was going to outweigh the performance that everybody saw, that 50 million people watched and many more saw clips of afterwards. And that called into question kind of everything that people had seen in the previous 3+ years of this presidency. People started rethinking what, you know, who their president was really. And I think I eventually came around to the idea that trust is not going to be restored. And regardless of whether it was, as Biden has said several times, a bad night, or whether it was indicative of something more, the appearance, I think, ended up being the reality. And there was no way for him to rebound from that. Ultimately, I think if he saw any kind of glimmer in any kind of polling that he could actually power through this, if he only read 538.com, which had him as, I think, a 54% favorite the day he dropped out, because their model doesn't include, it's not polls only, it includes the fundamentals. If there was any glimmer of hope there, he would have stayed in. I think he wanted to. I think even, just before we got on, he actually gave his address to the nation. He said as much as that he wanted to stay in, but that he needed to unite the party. And, that's kind of speak for, I didn't think basically that the party lost trust in me.
That's the end of the preview, folks. As usual, we like to mention that this podcast is sponsored by the American Prospect magazine. So if you want to listen to the whole thing, you can subscribe at $5 a month. If you want that plus a free subscription to the website, plus the opportunity for a steeply discounted print subscription, you can do that if you so wish at $10 a month. And otherwise, thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.